Hello friends and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're going to be checking out something called Spooky Selfie by developer Brendan Givens. I know it's not exactly the right time of year for this sort of thing, but if you know my channel at all, you'll know I have a bit of a soft spot for skeletons in general. Somebody once told me there was one actually inside of me and I just didn't believe a word they said, but still, I kind of look up to them. I think they do a lot of good work. Skeletons in general form the backbone of human society, so I figured we should do due diligence here and wander around this graveyard and take pictures of ourselves as a skeleton. That's what we're going to be doing today in this game. It's quite simple, in fact, and it's really a thing that I imagine no one's ever thought of before, in fact, to make a setup where it's basically a first-person exploration game, and the only goal here is to find interesting and unique ways to position yourself in the game world with which to take pictures. The first problem that I would see if I was to be looking for problems, and of course that's my job here on Indie Impressions as well. First of all, I'd like to actually be able to dance with these skeleton right here. These guys do some good work with this dance, and I'd like to get involved. The second thing, though, is why no landscape? What's up with the orientation, skeleton? You don't hold your phone like that when you want to take a professional selfie. It's, everybody suffers as a result. Well, you know, I guess for the sake of setting up the environment to be more interesting, well, maybe it works out that way. So anyway, let's snap a picture with this ominous, hellish void behind our head. We're just skulking around, so that image is going to show up there and stay for a little while. It actually doesn't quite frame the way that you set it up there, too, which is kind of funny. It's like, we could set this for a while and just, you know, find the right mixing and matching, and it's gonna grab a little spot next to us in both directions, so not quite sure how that works out. What phone is that, by the way, that you can get a full-screen image like that with no interface whatsoever? Well, I guess I could do something similar on my iPhone, I don't know. So there's a couple of things that I wanted to bring to light about this game. I don't want this to end up coming across kind of negative, but there is a thing that's maybe a little bit dubious or questionable in my mind that I think is worth mentioning. So this game can be purchased or downloaded, I should say, on itch.io, which is a thing that I pretty regularly link to, and it's a site that I think is quite good. But the main issue here is that if I was to right-click right now, it changes the soundtrack from this music by Kevin MacLeod to the very topical and perfect song for this game, honestly, Spooky Scary Skeletons by Andrew Gold, which I just want to, you know, probably I shouldn't be this presumptuous, but I'm pretty sure, or at least I would assume in this case that it's very unlikely that there was actually a license given for this particular song. So it makes me wonder, in the case that you ended up paying $1 or whatever you choose to pay, because it's pay as you want, on itch.io, you can also download it for free. What exactly is the legality of something like that? Is that okay to do something like that, where you're distributing someone's music and also kind of charging for it, but not really? It's like a donation kind of, but it's not. I don't know, it's all very confusing. It's a bit of a gray area that I guess I would like to hear more of your opinions about, because I don't really know how to approach something like this. I don't really want to just, like, straight up give this game demerits for that fact, just because, well, I think this is actually a pretty interesting idea for a game. And, well, the other thing is I think perhaps many of these assets are also either from the Unity store, or they kind of look a lot like assets from Diablo 3. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that statue looks very Diablo 3 to me. Maybe there's something else to this, but feel free to chime in there as well. I mean, we're getting some great spooky shots here. I don't know, I hate to be so negative about something like this. It's just, I wonder to what degree should I even be acknowledging something like this. And, well, I guess that's why I wanted to talk about it, in fact, just so I maybe know going forward if this is a thing that you guys already know about, or if this is a thing that is even worth mentioning, or if it's real bad and I should stay away from it. I don't know. I don't really want to encourage anybody to use other people's music without permission, but at the same time, you can just download it for free, but then again, they should be paid for the thing. I don't know. It's very confusing. Anyway, let's talk about more to do with this actual concept. Taking pictures of yourself in a graveyard by itself seems like probably a pretty vacuous and silly concept, but I think there's actually some meat to this idea, I say, as we look at skeletons with no meat whatsoever on them. I was thinking maybe the way that you could frame this sort of thing is, well, first of all, I think there's got to be a sort of a ranking system to this somehow. I'm thinking as you start up the game, perhaps it could give you an option to maybe give a certain amount of stars to other people's selfies that it grabs and uploads as people take them, and as you rate those images, maybe it would reward you an amount of time played or to be played. So maybe I played, or rather sorted through 5 or 10 pictures, and then I get 5 or 10 minutes to take my own selfies to kind of keep the cycle going, and then people could, you know, have their best selfie rise to the top. I think if you were to create a large enough environment with enough diversity in areas to it, there could be some really interesting things that pop up from that people would start looking for ways to break the game and create, you know, very interesting shots that maybe you wouldn't think were possible. I think especially the fact that you can actually jump around in this environment, and it's not just that you're stuck to the ground, adds this extra level of, like, so to what degree can you do weird things that will then lead you to have the most unique photo possible? I mean, I'm kind of sure I understand where this would go if it was just introduced to the masses. Probably everybody would find ways to make their images look like genitals, and, well, that's just how the world works, I suppose. But I was able to get up here on top of this mausoleum thing, which is kind of cool, so maybe I can get, like, a nice downward-facing shot from the top here if I just kind of back carefully. It's funny, too, that the skeleton has no animations whatsoever. You just kind of float through the game world happily. Oh, also the light shaft from the moon is hilarious, too. I'll show you that in a second here. You probably already noticed it. See, there's a good shot. I kind of like that. You get a nice frame of the whole graveyard. So yeah, let's look up. So the light shaft from the moon is just sort of suspended in the middle of the sky. And if we kind of, like, arrange it just right, we might be able to actually get the two things to line up, but I wouldn't count on it necessarily. There's roughly it. Yeah, pretty close. It'd be nice if the picture would go away after a while, too, or maybe there's a button to turn it off, but it's very large, and I don't have a problem with seeing it for a second in this kind of, like, splash screen kind of presentation like that, but after a minute, it's like, well, no, I get the idea. Still want to look at the environment around me. It's, like, very central to that. But yeah, like I said, there's probably some button I can press. Or if there's not, I'm sure it would be very easy to implement something like that. So imagine, like, you get your friends together and you start doing some spooky selfies, and, like, you could even theme it to different times of the year. There could be changes to the environment. Maybe every time you launch into the game, it gives the developer an opportunity to sort of modify the environment or something like that, and there could be different facets to go around and find. I imagine the exploration could be kind of interesting as well. Maybe you have to solve very minor puzzles to lead to different set pieces that you could use for extra unique photos. I think there's a lot of interesting ideas that could be pulled out of something like this, and honestly, the ambience for it right now is pretty well done, so I'd love to see more. I mean, again, if it's just because they've used all assets from some various singular source, that would kind of explain that. But at the same time, it does at least seem cohesive for now. There's some particles in the air, these light shafts that hang around, some view distance fog, the colorful lighting. Kind of wish the skeleton's hand was maybe a little bit more articulated looking, but, you know, whatever. I'm not really going to be down on that. It's an interesting concept, to say the least, and I would love to hear your opinions about this as well. Do you think this has the opportunity, or the, seems like the right kind of an idea that could be expanded upon to great effect? Because I kind of do. Oh, that's a great one. F and spoopy, alright. That's, yeah, I think that's the... Oh, that time the picture went away almost instantly. I wonder why it breaks sometimes. I'd really love to go into this and, like, find a whole nother world to take pictures of myself in. Also, if you notice, watch the camera here as I get further away. Wait, does it do it here? Maybe it's not this one. I guess with the orange one it does it specifically. But as you get close to one of those effects, it seems like it kind of loses luminosity for some reason. It's like right here, it's super diffused and dark looking, and then as I get slightly further away, it's much brighter. There must be some kind of transparency that's, like, conflicting or clipping through something else that's maybe not allowing that luminosity to come through. Well, still, you get a nice orange shot there, skulking around and all that. Anyway, that's going to be Spooky Selfie. Not a whole lot else to say about it, but I would love to hear your feedback. And, of course, if you'd like to go check this out yourself, you can feel free to go give it a download. There will be a Unity browser version available to try out if you want to just do that without even downloading anything. Of course, you can check it out on itch.io. I'll put both links up, of course, like I said before. So let me know what you think about that whole thing I mentioned before, as well as if you think this might be able to be something that could be expanded upon. And if you're the developer to do it, then you should definitely get on this, because I think this has some potential. Skeleton photography simulation. Well, or go into the world of Pokemon Snap and start taking pictures of spooky things around a graveyard. That could be fun, too. Anyway, I'll let you guys debate that whole thing out in the comments. But thank you everybody for watching. As always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like on it. I'll be back again tomorrow with another one. So if you enjoy the idea of finding out about a new artistic, original, or unique indie game every single day, make sure you come back to youtube.com/RockLeeSmile, and of course give the channel a subscription if you'd like to get those information bits popping up in your YouTube feed. Hopefully you do, and hopefully you have already. But anyway, I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic night. Later.